Morning.
Good morning. Okay, so at this point, we are going to start. Thank you all for joining me. My apologies if you joined in yesterday and we had our technical difficulties. There was an update in the server that caused some glitches and they fixed it by 6:30 last night. So that was the information I received. But I'm glad that you're able to join me today. If this session is being recorded, let me just confirm that. Yes, it is. And the link will be sent out and I'll post it on the website. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, let's see what I can do with this. So today we're just going to do a quick overview of our Linkit benchmark assessment. And I just wanted to quickly start with just reviewing some general types of assessments, and then we're going to go right into previewing the assessments, what it looks like for your child as they take it, and then also the reporting features that it provides to our staff. So generally speaking, we're going to mention 4 types of assessments. There's a couple other ones and some contained within these, but basically we have a diagnostic assessment, which is a pretest. That is if your child did IXL or at the high school, middle school, they did the ALEX program. They started out with a diagnostic assessment, and that just informs the program where your child is at, how they performed, and it adapts the program to their level. So it's just simply put, it's a pretest. Then we have formative assessments, which tells the teacher how the students are doing during the unit and informs the teacher as a check-in point. So that might be an exit slip, it might be a quiz, it could be classwork, it could be as simple as holding up a problem, showing the teacher, and the teacher just checking off who knows the problem and who doesn't. We also have summative assessments. Those evaluate the learning at the end of a unit. Those are your chapter tests, unit tests, things like that. And then we have benchmark assessments. Benchmark and interim assessments are used interchangeably. Those terms are used interchangeably. Benchmark assessments are used to drive future instruction. They are given to large populations. So they're not just given to a class. It's typically an entire district. Sometimes it might be a school, but typically it's an entire district. It's a large population. They are measured against standards. So our Linkit assessment is measured against the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. And as previously mentioned, those standards are what your child needs to know or should learn by the end of the school year. So we take benchmark assessments multiple times throughout the year. In Saddlebrook, we're doing it in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. So the fall assessment, the one that we're doing on Monday at the elementary level, and the one that the middle school, high schools just took, that serves more as a baseline, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then what we hope to see is some growth as they take it again in the winter and in the spring. But your child is not expected, if everyone could just mute yourself, please. Your child is not expected to have all the answers. So as I go through it all, I'm going to show you how to skip through some problems and kind of go through the assessment so it's a little bit stress-free for your child. That's the goal, because they are not expected to know all the answers at this point in the year. But the information it provides us is really valuable. It is a predictor to performance on standardized assessments. That's because it mimics what the state assessments look like. The state did cancel the state assessments last spring due to COVID. We have not received any information at this point whether or not that we are going to have the state assessments this year. And most importantly, it gives our teachers and our schools quick data. And we're going to go through the data that the Linkit test shows them. So we're going to preview the assessments now. I included this image here so that you can see what happens. Let's say you have an internet problem or there's a connectivity issue. This window will pop up. So the program does save your child's work. And if something pops up, they're gonna choose the box with their work in it and hit continue. So sometimes that does happen and we're going to save it. The program saves it and then you log back in and all your work is still there. Your child receives an assignment code from their teacher. They're going to enter the assignment code in here. They click submit. This website, test.linkit.com, that's the site that they're going to go to. Your teacher should have provided it to your child or it's in their Google Classroom. They also gave your child the assignment code. Once they put in the assignment code, there's a drop-down menu, typically with all the names. It might take you right to the test, depending upon the class. Sometimes it will give you a list of students and you choose your name and then you click submit. Okay, so now to see what the test looks like. Let's start. This is the kindergarten language arts assessment. So once they log in, they're going to see their name on the top left corner. On the top right, they're going to see the tests, kindergarten ELA Form A, and the time remaining. This year, we limited it to 45 minutes. And that's because we didn't want anyone, last year when we did this, students were spending hours on it. That is not the purpose of a benchmark assessment. If your child is able to sit for 10 or 15 minutes, that work that they complete is valuable to us. It gives us valuable information. So whatever they're able to do, that's what we want. For the kindergarten, they do have this blue box.
Write the letter.
And down here is where you power through the answers, where you go through the answers. So kindergarten and first grade students are going to have this blue box up here, and then every single grade level will have the text-to-speech box. So it tells you, that reads it to you. Whereas for kindergarten and first grade, this gives you the direction. So you choose it, and then at the bottom, you put your go through. Okay, so up here, you're going to see some tools. If your child, they do not have to, but it is an option. If they want to flag a question, you see the flag pops up, and then they go on to the next question. So let's say they just look at it and they might know it, but they don't want to spend a lot of time on it. They might flag it and then go on to the next question. Anytime you do that, it will give you a warning that you've answered all parts, that you have not answered all parts of the question. Are you sure you want to move on? And you go through yes. Let me move this out of the way. And you can also go back to a previous question. And then what happens is up here, let me go through the tools. So they can zoom, you can increase the font size, you could decrease it, you could zoom in, you could zoom out. Something else that you may do is you may drag this to make it bigger. There's a protractor and there's a line reader. And again, these are just options for your child should they wish to use it. With the line reader, it might be helpful to block out. This typically is used for older students when there's a lot of text on the page and they just want to focus on the text one line at a time. And then for math, there's also a protractor. This button on top, this lists all the questions. So you can see there's a blue letter A next to the questions that have been answered. There's a flag next to the questions that were flagged. And then any question that's not answered, it still remains green as with the Q for question in it. There's 37 questions, and I believe that holds true for the majority of the assessments here. If you want to go back to a question, you just click on it and you go back to that question. So this is an easy way to navigate through the questions. And then this is how you submit. This is highlight text, which again, the kindergarten and first grades are really not going to use, but that's more of an older student tool that we will talk about. So I'm going to get out of the kindergarten one. And this one, let's see what grade level this is. This is going to be a grade 3 math. So again, it's the same format. You see all the information. You can do the same tools that you have. This is the trash can over here. That's the answer eliminator. So if they want to eliminate answers, they may do so. And they may click anywhere to choose the answer. They don't have to click on the circle. They could choose anywhere over there, and then they go on for the next one. So again, it's the same type of tools. The protractor is similar to what you're going to see in the state assessment. You can make it bigger, you can rotate it, and you can make it go away. You have your list of questions, highlight the text, and submit. Let's go on. This one is going to be an older student. This might be high school or 6th grade. Let's see what I did. I preloaded them today after what happened yesterday. This is high school English 2. So as you get older, and this is going to be the same for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students, when they have the NJSLA, they're going to have text on the left and the answers on the right. You can drag these back and forth. It always tells you that there's more to see, so that just child knows to go down. They have the line numbers. This is where the highlighting tool comes in handy. And then also they do have the text to speech, where it'll read it to them. And then we go through. They have the same types of formats of questions, the technology enhanced questions that the state assessment has. The same idea with the answer eliminator. And I want to get through to see, let's say, this is the other story. So now if I go down to the end, you'll see both stories are here, and they can toggle back and forth to both stories. It always tells them that there's more text on the bottom to scroll down. They can always resize it, and they do have those same tools. They can flag the question to go through. They have the same tools as everybody else. Let's go on to, this is an Algebra 2 assessment. Same idea, so they can resize it. They might have different tools. Up here, this is where they have their resource sheet that they can look at and refer back to for any questions. And other than that, everything is really still the same. And again, they have those technology enhanced questions to sort of mimic the state assessment. So you can go through. So let me go back to here. All right, so there's definitely, so those are what the assessments look like. And there's some reporting features I just want to review with you. These are just screenshots. This is not our student data, so rest assured, these are demos that the company provides. Here's one snapshot of a report. It goes through each question. As you hover over the questions, the question pops up. The green are the ones that got correct. The red are the ones that got wrong. It sorts it by topic and skill. So for main idea, there was 7 questions that touched upon main idea. The student got them all correct. So that way that teacher knows that they're not going to spend a lot of time with that specific student on main idea. There's also a class report that if the entire class is getting the main idea questions correct, they're going to skip over that or just not fully cover in depth. This is an item analysis report where it has the list of the standards, tells you what the standard is, the questions associated with the standards, and then how the teacher's class performed overall for each standard. It also compares it versus the school and the district. This is another one that just tells you you can sort by average. This arrow facing down means that you can sort it. So you can sort by percentages from lowest to highest, from highest to lowest. It's always color coded and it makes for easy grouping of students. So the teachers can group the students and give each student exactly the instruction that they need. That's when we talk about when we say target the instruction. That's what that's for. Same idea here. So you can sort it. You can put all the approaching students in a group, all the exceeding students in a group. Here you'll see the word bubble. Those are those students that are right on the bubble. So on the state assessment, 750 is proficient. There's a lot of students that perform at like a 748. Those students would be in the bubble group. And we want to make sure that we give them everything they can to kind of give them that boost to the passing group, to the proficient group. So I'm going to walk you through some of the reports that the test does supply us. This one will tell you, so you can see there's the state assessments also go into Linkit. It's also our data warehousing tool. So you'll see the state assessments. And this one just kind of does a brief overview. It's color coded, how many percentage of your class is meeting standards, exceeding standards, approaching standards. And again, it's against the school and against the district, so you can compare. The next one's called item analysis, and this one allows you to take a specific assessment, click on the item analysis icon. This is what the teachers have. This is their view, and they can see each question. They can show the district results, the school results, and then they can also show it by standards, topics, skills. Standards are what we use in the schools. Topics and skills are more parent-friendly, more student-friendly. And each of these questions, you can hover over this blue box and the question pops up and it tells you.
I'm leaving at 12, Jess.
And if everyone could please mute yourself, I'm sorry. And here it's going to show you how it goes through. It tells you which standard each question is associated with, the topic, the skill. You can show the question type, so it'll say if it's multiple choice, technology enhanced, things like that. And then if you click on it, it also will show you the entire standard, the percentage of the class, how they performed overall. Let's see. Oops, let me go back. Oh, this is the student report. So you can see each student. And again, you can check off these boxes, show it by type, but it'll tell you the question number. Green means they got it correct. Red means they got it wrong. This is the class average, how the class overall did. And again, when you hover over or you click on the number, the exact question comes up so the teacher can see. That's going to show you the standards again and the skills and the topics and which questions that student specifically got right or wrong. So if there's 3 questions associated with it, it's going to say how they performed in all 3 overall. And again, that's going to help the teacher plan for their students. This shows you that you go to the question number and that exact question pops up and you can view the student response and how they answered. So again, that's just good. That helps the teacher figure out where they're, how the student was thinking and how best to instruct them. Those are their different reports. Then we have a class diagnostic report. And if you're in the education field, this is, where we have some fun, as we call it. So you can view it by different categories. You have standards, topics, skills, and again, you see your entire class in a snapshot. You can sort them, you can group them. It will actually group your students for you, and it gives you that information to show the specific student. So they clicked on one standard and they showed you how the class performed. And then you could sort them. You can filter them to only show the students that didn't perform well. So that way you know to meet with those 3 students and make sure you instruct them. But the ones that did perform well, these green students, you may not really meet with as much. This does a similar report where it shows you the students and how they performed for that question. And then the last report I'm going to show you is it is also a data warehousing tool. So it does keep the history of the students. And it really nicely color codes it so we can see and track the growth over the years. So it does have the state test in here. We do put the running records at the elementary level in here. And it gives a nice clear picture as to where the student is at ability level wise. Okay, so that is just a really quick overview. The reason why this assessment is important to us, especially right now at this part of the year, is, with the schools closing for COVID in the spring, we know that a lot of students experienced some summer slide. Let me stop sharing so I can see everyone's faces. And, we also know with our hybrid schedule that we have a lot of, that we're not covering our topics at the pace that we may typically cover them, or covering our standards at the pace that we may typically cover them. So this information really gives our teachers a nice picture as to where to start their planning and how to really get through this year. And I keep on saying targeting their instruction. That's just the phrase that we always use. Whenever we have this data, we want to make sure we're looking at it and using it to give the students exactly what they need. So again, as much as your child can take, as much as they're able to sit, if they can sit for 10 or 15 minutes, that's valuable information for our teachers. It will just really help them figure out where to focus their instruction on. Because at this point, we don't have time to waste. So we don't have days to waste working on main idea if the class really does already understand main idea. So that's why this, this assessment tool is really important to us this year. I see there's a couple of questions in the chat room. The teacher should have already posted it in Google Classroom. If they did not, if you can send me an email with your child's teacher, I'll just send them a reminder. They'll definitely have it on Monday morning. They are not going to have their regular Google Meets, so this is going to be the only Google Meets on Monday that they have, is for this assessment. And it will be treated just like it is done during the school year. So last year we did do this assessment as well. We just did it during at school. If a child's absent, they're absent, and then they do make it up. So if your child is absent on Monday, then they will make it up. So it's just kind of treated the same way. And if you want to see your child's performance, absolutely, email your child's teacher. You can email me as well, I never mind. And we could just show you how your child did. We ask that you don't do it with, you can provide your child support, especially with the technology piece of it. But it's really supposed to be done as independently as possible, because otherwise the data is skewed and it's not going to give us a clear picture. I want to mention, it's important to mention that they don't receive a percentage on this assessment. It's not a test, it's not a summative assessment. They're not receiving a percentage, and it's not being factored into their grades. The purpose of this is solely to give us the information we need to do our jobs. So does not go on the report card. It doesn't get averaged into their grades. That is not the purpose of a benchmark tool assessment. Okay, so I think that's really important to mention, is that it does not get factored into their grades. The purpose of this assessment is solely to give us the information we need to make sure our teachers are doing the jobs that they do, the great jobs that they do. So your child did take this last year. And I believe they took it 2 times last year. So most of the students are familiar with the program and do know how to work through it. The reason why we're doing it with the teacher on a Google Meet is so that the teacher is there and able to help out. So if your child does struggle, they are able to ask the teacher any questions. The teacher, can share their screen and guide the students through it. I believe many of them have planned to do that, where they're going to, show the students exactly how to log on, and that's done simply by sharing their screen and walking the students through it. And then once the students get started, the teachers are there. So they're going to stay on the Google Meet, so that way they're able to answer any questions. There is no writing component on this. They are doing the ELA and the math on the same day, and that was just a scheduling issue that arose. We do need, so this information was supposed to be provided to us. This benchmark assessment was scheduled for September. And that's like where we really could have used a lot of this information as well to help guide our instruction for the month of September and October. But as you can imagine, the year just kind of got away from us a little bit, and we needed to focus on really just getting into the groove with our hybrid model. So that's why we're doing it in October. But honestly, it's already a little bit late in the year to do this, because again, we're doing it again in the winter and again in the spring. So it will be done 2 more times. And remember, the purpose is to show growth. So your child is not supposed to excel at this. These standards are the ones they are meant to achieve at the end of the school year. So at this point, they're just going to go through the questions. If they don't know it, they skip it. They go to the next one. They can flag it if they want to, or they could just skip it. At the end, they have the option. If they have time, they can go back and they can answer those questions. They could take their best guess. They could just move on. Honestly, I wouldn't even recommend taking their best guess, because that's going to skew the data. We really want to see what they know. So it's okay to not answer every question on this assessment. That's the purpose of a benchmarking assessment, is to really give the information to the teacher. I'm just going through the chat room, so I appreciate your patience. As far as returning to a normal school schedule, that's more of a Board of Education and Superintendent, Mrs. Shanley. I know that Mrs. Shanley sent out a letter with the phase 2. All the information that's in that letter is as much information as we have at this point. There's no practice test, because it doesn't have one. There were some teachers that did do a preview of last year's assessment for their students so that they can see it. But again, the teachers are going to be present during the Google Meet. So they will be able to share their screen, walk the students through logging in, especially at the younger levels. Those teachers know what they're doing. And then they'll be able to make sure every student does get started correctly. If you don't have the link in your child's Google Classroom, it will definitely be up, because every single teacher is doing this at the elementary level. Every single teacher is doing this on Monday. I will be available all day Monday. I will be there bright and early. So if you need me, you're just going to reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat room so that everybody has it. And I'll put my extension as well. Feel free to call me if you have any questions or something is not working correctly. So there's my email and my phone information. If there's not a tech-savvy adult, again, the teacher is going to walk the child through it. And again, hopefully it'll work out. If it doesn't work out, then we'll find a time to work with the child and make sure that we're able to get some information from the child. We're all learning this. This is our first time going through this. So, you know, there's definitely kinks that need to be worked out with everything we're doing this year, to be honest. So, you know, your patience is appreciated. We need your cooperation. This is definitely a true team effort this school year. So, you know, the teamwork is needed now more than ever. So it's definitely appreciated. We're not going to do anything that's going to, you know, cause anxiety in your child or not make your child perform to the best that they can. So again, this is not factored into anything. The purpose of this assessment is just to provide us with information so that we could do our jobs the best that we're able to do them. I will show the second grade. I think we do have a lot of second graders so on this call. So what I will do is I'm going to go back and I'll just show a quick second grade assessment. So that way you can see that one. Let me just go here, grade 2, language arts. And a great way to check, just remind your child that where it says preview student, the top left should be their name. So that's definitely something you want to look for, that their name is there. They do have the text to speech where we'll read the question to them. They do have the answer eliminator where they can cross out any questions. They don't have to use it. It's just a tool that's there for them. The other thing I'm going to say is that the teachers are able to set the preferences, the test preferences. So they set them this time around. If they find something doesn't work or they find that the student needs a different preference, then they'll do so. So such as like this answer eliminator. If it distracts a lot of students, then next time around, they're not going to have that one. They could take it away. They could take, you know, so they can add, there's other ones to add that they're not using, and then they can also take away ones. So again, we need your help. So if there's something that you know is distracting to your child, tell your teacher, tell your child's teacher, and if the majority of parents feel that way, then they're able to take it away. They can also take it away for, you know, 1 or 2 students. So they have that flexibility. They have that option. So again, you're going to go through, if they don't want to answer it, they're going to flag it and go back. It'll read the story to them. So if you want them to read the story.
The golden eggs adapted from a fable by
And it tells you that there's more to say. If you're with them and you want to use that line reader and show them how to use it, you're able to. Oops. And again, this is not necessary. Oh, this only works if you're on half the screen. It's not a necessary tool to use. This is just if it's something that helps your child. You know your child best. You can also make this. And then this side will read the question to them. And again, you're going to navigate by going these left and right arrows. Here's a little drop down. And then when they're ready to submit, they're going to click submit. Oops, as they click submit, it will ask them, are you sure you want to submit? So it does pop up, are you sure you want to submit? If they want to look at their questions and see, you can go back to all the questions this way and go back and forth. That is no longer a second grade assessment, by the way, that is the high school. Okay, so let me go back. As far as the time of the assessments, it was scheduled by the teacher. And the reason why we didn't schedule it district-wide is just because we have students with IEP, students with 504s, and their teachers are scheduling it with them as well. So it is scheduled by your teacher. It's not, so it's not the same across the board. I believe most teachers are starting at 9 because that's typically when the Google Meet is. They try to stay to the time of their normal Google Meet. Usually it's like, typically it's like 9 and 11. I think at the younger grades, they were doing 9 and 10 and 10:30 or something like that. So whatever the teacher says, it should be in their, or it will be in their Google Classroom. All right, so I thank you all for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. I will send out this link with the recording so that you have it to refer to. Does anybody else have any questions before I end the meeting? You may unmute yourself if you have a question to ask as well. Hi.
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 I don't know who wants to start. I have a question.
You may ask.
Okay. On Monday for the test, Bree goes to the actual school. So now I don't know if the people there actually know what's going on with the test. Will there be somebody in the building that maybe could help?
Yeah, so Monday there will be somebody in the building. If your child goes to Champions, I believe a staff member is actually going to be there as well. And the principals of each building have Chromebooks. So if there's no Chromebooks available, they do have a Chromebook to give the child.
Or she
And that way
has
the
her own
child-
Chromebook
Okay, good.
that she
So-
brings with her.
Yeah, so they are
Okay.
able to take it. Yep.
Okay, so somebody will be there to help.
Yes.
Because I was just debating listening to this. Should I take off or shouldn't I take off?
No,
But I also
honestly,
don't want her
like
to
I
lean
said,
on
it's
me.
not. No, it's okay. It's not something that you should take off for. It's really, if they answer 3 questions, they answer 3 questions. It's okay.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
weekend.
You too. Thanks. Any other questions? All right, then I'm going to say thank you very much. I will send out the link and we will see everybody next week. Nice seeing everybody.